now that the new iPhone Air is out, yeah, apparently it's gonna be called the Air, not the iPhone 17 Air, which makes me think that this is gonna be a upgrade phone that only happens every few years, not a year-on-year upgrade, because that would be a whole mess. You have to name it after the year, and yeah, it's not great. But yeah, now that the iPhone Air is out, and the reviewers are probably starting to review the phones and finding out what it is actually and how well it works. I have some thoughts about it, and whether or not that this phone would sell a lot or not. Now, one thing that Apple is really focusing on for this phone is the battery life, because the phone's really thin and they had to put as much battery in there as possible, and they did as much as they could to do that. They turned it into eSIM only model, and they only put in one camera. They did as much as they could, and they cut one GPU core, but from the A19 Pro chip, and that's a little confusing for me because the regular A19 also doesn't have has one less GPU core. So wouldn't that mean that this is an A19 chip? I don't know. Maybe the performance is still the same. It's just the GPU that's cut. Whatever. But yeah, battery life seems to be what they focus really hard on this phone, just because of the way that the phone is designed. Because they know that it needs to have a decent battery life, otherwise the phone's gonna be a complete flop. No matter what specs you put in it, if the phone dies by the afternoon, no one's gonna buy it. Not even the people who want the aesthetic look. They need the phone to last an average day, even without heavy use. And that's probably why they focus so hard on doing this stuff. And the battery life that they're claiming is 27 hours. Now, 27 hours, that is a rough figure that kind of have to give. It's probably the maximum or something that you give, but it's not something that everyone can get. It depends on the usage of the individual. I mean, every person has an individual uses, and the battery life will differ because of that. But apparently the battery life is being compared to the iPhone 16 Pro. Yeah, I looked it up, and it's the same battery life as last year's iPhone 16 Pro. Now, the 16 Pro had a 6.3-inch display. It was the regular normal size. It had a 120 Hz display. It has slightly bigger battery from before. And this phone has the same amount of battery life as that phone. Yeah, I find that hard to believe. I mean, for one thing, this thing has a bigger screen. And the other is, this thing's really slim, and it has the A19 Pro chip. Now, if the Pro chip is in this phone, it's an actual Pro level chip. That means that it's gonna have a lot more performance, and that's gonna generate more heat, and that's gonna affect the battery life. And all that together, yeah, I don't see this phone lasting that long. Now, we'll have to wait and see how it lasts. Maybe they did something with the software or something with the hardware and somehow managed to do something incredible and make the phone last. If they did, that would be impressive. If this phone lasts as much as the iPhone 16 Pro, this is gonna be a huge hit. Because people like the design of the phone. The design is slim and it looks great. I mean, I held the S25 Edge, and that was really something, holding a phone that thin. And this, plus the Apple badge and all that, and the big screen, this is something people would like if the battery life is decent enough to rival the iPhone 16 Pro. And I'm still really skeptical about it. I mean, they had to do a lot of stuff with the battery in this phone just to make it last that long, apparently. We don't know how long it will actually last. And I am concerned about one thing, that they are offering a MagSafe battery pack for this phone. And they're talking about a combined battery life that this phone can offer of whatever, I don't know, remember how much extra battery life it gets, but yeah, combined with the battery pack, it gets a good amount of battery life, and the fact that they showed it like that is concerning. I mean, if the battery life was decent, they could have just said that we managed to get this much battery life out of a really thin phone and just explain how impressive that was, and they would be right. That would be an impressive feat, but they decided to show it with the battery pack and show the combined uh, time that the phone will run. That's, to me, feels like a bit of a red flag. Now, we don't know what's gonna happen yet, but I am skeptical, and I don't have a lot of hope. But if they do manage to pull this off, it's a huge win for Apple. I mean, this is gonna be the iPhone that people get just for the sake of being different, having something different. The people who want the Apple brand, they want their phones to be unique and better than compared to the other phones. And this thing with the slim design, and if it gets a decent battery life, it will be better. Sure, it misses out on the cameras, but there are people who are willing to buy this phone even with the one camera. I mean, there are plenty of people who were willing to buy the base iPhones last year for 60 hertz and and the year before that with all the chips and all that. So yeah, that's not gonna be a problem for the Apple buyers. They'll be willing to put up the sacrifices. But yeah, the battery life, if they pull it off, it will be fantastic. But if they don't, and it ends up being a phone that only lasts half a day or something, yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a flop, especially considering the price tag that this thing has. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what the reviews about this phone is gonna be about when it comes out.